startup nobody's heard of just hit a $5 billion valuation, and they're not raising that money, they're earning it. Etched AI has crossed $1 billion in annual sales from selling a single product, an AI chip designed to do one thing faster and cheaper than anything else on the market. And here's the shocking part. They did it by essentially asking Nvidia's engineers a simple question. What if we stopped building a chip that does everything and started building one that only does AI inference and made it absolutely perfect at that one job? That decision has turned Etched from a nobody into a market force. We're talking about a company that's less than 3 years old with legitimate revenue, not VC money, actual cash from customers, that's putting real pressure on Nvidia's stranglehold over the AI chip market. This isn't a startup with a cool prototype hoping to be relevant in 5 years. This is happening right now. This matters because Nvidia's H100 and H200 GPUs have basically owned the entire AI training and inference market. There's barely been a credible competitor. But Etched just proved something fundamental. If you build a chip that's focused and specialized, you can outperform the general-purpose monster, and you can do it faster. So in today's video, we're breaking down who Etched is, how their chip actually works, and why this is the moment the AI chip monopoly started cracking. And here's where it gets interesting. Etched was founded in 2023 by engineers who'd spent years working at Nvidia, then jumped ship to start something radical. The founding team included former Nvidia AI researchers, people who knew exactly where Nvidia's design left performance on the table. Their big insight was this: Nvidia builds GPUs that are general-purpose monsters. They're designed to do training, inference, graphics, physics simulations, literally anything you throw at them. That flexibility is powerful, but it comes with a cost. You're paying for capabilities you don't need. Etched made a bet: what if we optimized for just one use case? We'll build a chip that's insanely good at AI inference, and we'll cut everything else away. That's the entire company's strategy. So far, it's working. They bootstrapped the company, shipped their first chip called Sonik, and immediately started getting serious enterprise interest. The speed to revenue is absolutely stunning for a chip startup. Most hardware companies take 7 to 10 years to sell anything. Etched hit $1 billion in sales in less than 3 years. That means they've got real customers, real deployments, and real traction. Companies aren't just buying one Sonik chip to test it out, they are buying thousands. This isn't hype. This is a functioning business that solves a genuine problem. And that's the foundation for everything that follows. So how does Etched Sonik chip actually work differently? Here's the comparison. Imagine Nvidia's H100 as a Swiss Army knife. It's got a blade, a corkscrew, a can opener, tweezers, scissors, toothpick. It does 20 different things competently. But a Sonik is a laser-sharp katana. It does exactly one thing: AI inference. That specialization shows up in the actual chip design. Etched stripped away all the capabilities needed for graphics processing, physics simulation, and training workloads. Everything that made the H100 flexible got removed. In its place, they crammed more memory bandwidth dedicated to inference, optimized the cache hierarchy specifically for language model workloads, and tuned the instruction set to run transformer models at impossible speeds. The result is a chip that's measurably faster at running already trained AI models than Nvidia's general-purpose GPU. They're claiming speeds that are 2 to 3 times better for inference-only workloads compared to an H100. Think of it like this: Nvidia built a truck that can haul cargo, carry passengers, tow trailers, and work as a crane. Etched built a race car. It's not better at everything, it's catastrophically better at one thing. And that one thing happens to be what most enterprises actually need. They don't need to train models. They need to run trained models fast and cheap. So Etched's laser focus becomes a massive competitive advantage. And this is where it gets complicated. So which companies are actually using Etched Sonik? That's where it gets real. We're not talking about hypothetical beta tests or proof-of-concept projects. These are production deployments powering actual revenue-generating AI services. Several major cloud providers and AI companies have already integrated Sonik into their inference infrastructure. The details are a bit hush-hush because enterprises don't want competitors knowing their exact setup. But the economics are obvious. If you're running millions of inference queries per day for customers, and a Sonik chip gets you 2 to 3 times the throughput of an H100 in the same power envelope, you're looking at massive cost savings. Let's do the math. An H100 costs about $40,000. It uses roughly 700 watts of power. A Sonik costs less, exact pricing isn't public, but it's positioned as premium performance at lower cost. If you get 2 to 3 times the inference throughput, your cost per inference drops dramatically. For a company running a large language model API, that's not just savings, that's a competitive advantage. You can undercut your competitors' pricing or pocket the margin. Now, Etched hasn't disclosed specific customer names, but the fact that they've hit $1 billion in revenue means they've got serious enterprise confidence. These aren't small bets. These are companies betting billions of dollars of future inference capacity on this chip. And the kicker is, this all happened before most of the industry even realized there was an alternative to Nvidia. Let's actually compare Etched and Nvidia head-to-head because the numbers are wild. On inference speed, Etched claims a massive lead. We are talking 2 to 3 times faster throughput for large language models compared to the H100. That's not a marginal improvement. That's a category difference. On price, Etched is positioned lower than Nvidia's premium GPUs, but still in the premium tier of the chip market. Exact pricing isn't public, because Etched is shipping mostly through partnerships and enterprise agreements, not a consumer channel. On availability, here's where Nvidia still has a massive advantage. Nvidia has already shipped millions of H100 and H200s worldwide. There's this enormous installed base, an ecosystem of software tools, frameworks, drivers, libraries, all optimized for Nvidia chips. Etched has none of that yet. They are starting from scratch. So a company considering a change has to weigh the performance gains against the engineering cost of rewriting their inference stack. For new deployments, Sonik wins. For existing infrastructure already running on Nvidia, the switching costs might not be worth it. But here's the critical part. This is the first time in 5 years that enterprises have had a genuine choice. Nvidia's H100 has been basically unopposed. AMD tried with their MI series, but those haven't gained meaningful market share. Sonik is different. It's actually competitive on performance and has the backing of engineers who know exactly where Nvidia left performance on the table. And that's already changing the conversation in data centers worldwide. So what does Etched success mean for the AI chip market? First, Nvidia doesn't own the future anymore. Nvidia's dominance has been built on performance and ecosystem lock-in. So many software tools and frameworks are optimized for Nvidia that switching is expensive. But performance, that's being challenged. If Etched keeps shipping good chips and companies trust them in production, we could see a real market split. That breaks Nvidia's pricing power. Right now, Nvidia can charge premiums for H100 because there's no alternative. But if Etched becomes a real option, Nvidia has to compete on price and innovation in ways they haven't for years. Second, this validates something fundamental: specialization beats generalization. Etched's entire philosophy is do one thing impossibly well. They beat Nvidia's general-purpose approach in their focused area. We might see more competitors adopting this strategy, focused chips for training, edge inference, or specific architectures. Third, it changes power away from hardware vendors back to software teams. If you can choose your chip, you optimize your stack. That's power. For too long, AI companies have built everything around Nvidia's constraints. That era might be ending. Fourth, the timing is huge. Etched didn't just prove a concept, they proved it with $1 billion in real revenue. This isn't theoretical. This is happening in production, driving real decisions, changing real deployments. Enterprises aren't waiting for this to mature. They're already restructuring their inference infrastructure around alternatives. And that's just the beginning. Here's how to think about AI chip competition. It's not about one number being higher than another. It's about where value actually sits in the economy. For 2023 and 2024, every major AI lab raced to train bigger models, buying H100 by the thousands for that training phase. Nvidia owned that entire market completely, but we've hit an inflection point now. Training is expensive and rare. Most companies train once or a few times per year. What they do constantly, every single day, is run inference, feeding trained models predictions for thousands of customers. Inference is where real economic value lives in AI, and that's exactly what Etched focused on. They asked themselves a simple question: What if we hyper-optimized just for the operation that matters most? That's the core insight. In the old days, you bought the chip that did everything reasonably well. Today, you buy the chip that does your specific job impossibly well. That's a fundamental change in how hardware competition works. The game isn't who has the fastest GPU anymore. It's who built a chip specifically for what I actually need to do. Etched won that question for inference. Someone else will build something that wins for training acceleration, edge inference, or specialized robotics. This specialization trend is probably the future of AI chips. That's how you go from Nvidia dominates everything to Nvidia dominates training, but real competition exists in inference. That's the crack forming in the monopoly. So here's what this all means for you. If you work in AI, if you work in infrastructure, or if you care about where technology is heading, this moment matters. What we are seeing with Etched isn't just another startup chasing Nvidia. It's proof that specialization, focus, and real engineering can break through market monopolies. It's proof that when you build something measurably better at one thing, enterprises will trust you with billions of dollars of revenue. It's proof that the era of one company owning an entire market is over. Nvidia isn't going away. They'll dominate training for years. But inference, that's where competition is emerging. That's where newer companies with focused designs can win. So what to watch next? More specialized chip makers will emerge. Some will focus on inference, some on edge AI, some on training acceleration. We'll see a fragmentation of the GPU market that we haven't seen before. Nvidia's pricing power will erode. Enterprises will have choices, and the AI market will become more competitive, more efficient, and ultimately better for innovation. Etched proved the concept. Now the competition is just getting started. If you want to stay ahead of AI developments, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We cover stories like this every single day. Follow for daily AI news.